Oh, thank you.
Welcome to the most overrated, underappreciated, most viewed, underviewed podcast of all time. Welcome to, that's right, the Prince of Fresh Air. This is your host, Mr. Charismatic Man of Entertainment, aka Mr. Tall Glass of Water, aka the sexy version of Chris Hemsworth. The list goes on. Now I'm here with my man Dimitri. How you been?
What up, man?
Now let's talk about Ice Cube for a second. And this is much deeper than Ice Cube. You know, one thing I really realized about this whole Ice Cube thing that's going on is it really shows the divide this country really has. Because yes, Ice Cube made a song called F the Police and speaking out against the police, blah blah blah. But this
So
is
what?
not the first time, huh?
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm in response to people who would bring that up. It's like, so what? Do you know how long ago that was?
Yeah. And yeah, he made that song, but he grown up. He's not in his 20s no more, and he has money, and he realized that things need to change. And this is not the first time Ice Cube came out publicly and addressed something, but this goes to show to you the divide between Democrats and Republicans. Ice Cube came out, P Diddy came out as well and attacked Ice Cube, but we'll get to him in a second too. Um, Ice Cube came out with a proposal. I can't remember the number, but it was in the millions to billions proposal for the black and minority communities. And he came out and he wanted to talk to the Republicans and the Democrats. He didn't come out and say, "Hey, Trump, we got to do business." He didn't say, "Hey, Pence, we got to do business." He reached out to both parties. Democrats said, "We'll talk after the election." The Republicans said, "We'll talk to you immediately." Now, people are going to conspire and say, "Oh, Trump need the votes and blah, blah, blah." Take your hate away from the man for a second. You have a black man who has millions of dollars who really don't need to give a crap, is taking the time out of his day to help us. And what is the first thing people do because Trump agreed to work with him? Call him a coon, call him a sellout, said he's not a real black man, he's a Trump supporter, and such and such and such. And that goes to show it to you, does Black Lives really matter? Because
No.
if Black Lives really mattered, black people wouldn't be attacking Ice Cube, a fellow black man, for trying to help you out from getting out of poverty and from all this nonsense that we're going through. Yet, you have a black man come out and try to help you. You call him a coon. And then when he sits back and laugh and ha 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 while you struggling, now you want to call out celebrities from not speaking out. And that's another thing I want to talk about too, because you have people like T.I. who will call out people like Candace Owens for, selling out to the white man. What is he doing for the community? Nothing. He goes out, embarrasses people, and does what? Goes back to his Hollywood mansion home. And I don't see him invoking change. I don't see him donating. I don't see him out here helping for the cause. You have somebody out here who's putting his life on the line, his career on the line for working with somebody that everybody hates, who before the election, before he became president, let's be honest, a lot of celebrities love Donald Trump. Let's get that clear. Everybody wanted a picture with him. Everybody watched his show. But ever since he became president, he's the most hated man in America.
Yeah.
Take that aside. I don't care if you're Democrat, Independent, or Republican. It doesn't matter. Conservative, liberal, it doesn't matter. As a black man in Ice Cube, support the man. What is the whole point of Black Lives Matter? To invoke change, right? So you
Yeah.
have a black man trying to invoke change, and you call him a coon and a sellout to the white man. And this is why I say you can evoke change if we don't change ourselves.
That's
Because
never gonna happen.
because if this keeps happening, P Diddy came out. Oh, Ice Cube, why you selling out to Trump?
He
What are
said
you
that.
doing? Yeah, I P Diddy did. Oh,
Well,
I'm here for black people.
a lot of people have a problem with Ice Cube, and a lot of their distaste or dislike for him, or disapproval for him, is misplaced. Because you got to understand something on a grand scale. And I was thinking about this when um I was getting groceries. I was like, man, a lot of the issues with black people, it starts at home.
Yep.
There's no black unity. I didn't see black unity in my own family growing up. So what makes me think I'm going to expect black unity and black pride in a complete stranger that knows nothing about me?
Right.
It doesn't exist, because you, as well as myself, 9 times out of 10, if we were to get into it with somebody like a complete stranger, I'm pretty sure that person would probably be black before it'd be a white person.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm just being completely honest with you.
Yeah.
That's a fact. Like, I'm be just as leery, if not more so, around a black person than I would a white person. That's a fact. So that's why I've been saying since June, May, that call it something else. Stop calling it Black Lives Matter, because it's not a movement that was started by black people. It's not funded by a black person. It's just what it is. And like I've been saying, it's not to say that there's not aspects of it that aren't genuine, because I'm pretty sure it's not all rotten apples. But
Right.
at the same time, it's not going anywhere. So then here you got Ice Cube, who's calling it contract with Black America, and then y'all got a problem with that. I'm pretty sure if he was saying, "Oh, Black Lives Matter," yeah, and then all that amounted to a social media post, nobody would be saying anything about him, because he got up off his ass and actually went out and had meetings with these people who are in charge. Y'all got a problem with them. That just goes to show the agenda, the general consensus. And my issue is, don't have encourage free thought. And this is something that Ice Cube was saying. It was like, vote for who you think is best for you. He's
Yeah.
not saying, oh, if you vote for Trump, you're an asshole, or you're a bad person, or if you vote for Biden, you're bad. He didn't say that. When you have somebody that has a problem with your freedom of choice, that
Mm-hmm.
that has nothing to do with you. That has everything to do with that person.
Right.
If somebody's willing to attack you for making a choice based on what you think is best for you, what does that say about that person?
Right.
That, oh, I have a problem with that person thinking for themselves. Now,
Mm-hmm.
that's the general consensus of where everybody's at right now. Because I even saw on Facebook how somebody was like, I think it said, I forgive me, but 30 or 70% of black men under the age of, I don't know, whatever,
Probably 35.
is pro Trump, right? And then you got this older, black man, older black guy. I don't know him, but I'm just assuming that he's probably over 45, 50, whatever. And he's like, fucking dumbasses. And I just sat there and I'm like, this is what you think about young black men.
Yeah.
Fucking dumbasses, right? This is what I'm saying. I'm like, it's an absolute shit show. And it's been like that for a long. I don't know why people are acting like these whatever issues that we're complaining about happened when Donald Trump got in office, when it's been like that.
Yeah. COVID just opened the eyes to people.
Oh, because you know why? Because Donald Trump wasn't supposed to be there. Because he
He
wasn't supposed
wasn't.
to be in the election.
Mm-hmm.
He's not related to the rest of them. He wasn't supposed to be there. So
Yeah.
then they're doing everything, because mind you, been in office since 2016. I don't remember it being an absolute media like shitstorm until like the impeachment thing, but even then it wasn't like this bad until like this year.
Yeah.
His last year in office. It's like anti-Trump from all celebrities. Everybody's like, oh, he's the bad guy, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, this is the system that's bad.
Right.
Feel this way about the system. When you feel this way about the system, then you'll get what Ice Cube is talking about. But when you keep on blaming it on one person, that doesn't get anywhere. Because what's going to happen when they get in office and then another black person gets shot?
Right.
Are you going to hate them too? Or are you going to start asking them the right questions right now? But the problem is they don't hear from, people. At least you got Ice Cube, who's got the note, like not the notoriety, but he's got the fame and the platform to be able to speak to these people.
Right.
And he's speaking for us. But y'all got a problem with him?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, like there's just no hope. There's just no looking at each other as human beings. We don't look at each other as like, this is my fellow human being. We bleed the same. We were born the same. We have the same. We don't look at each other like that.
Right.
People look at each other like, first of all, we already separate ourselves from freaking skin color. Then you got political beliefs. Then you got freaking religion. Then you got how tall you are, how short you are, how big, how small. Then you got black people. We separate ourselves with skin color.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Freaking, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's an absolute, like, it's an absolute shit show. And like I said, maybe one of our other podcasts, if there was a rapture that was gonna happen, it's probably gonna happen around this time, because just of the fact, I'm not a religious person by any means, but I'm just saying, like, because it's just trash, and then it's getting worse. I used to ask myself, when even I think it was, I think I don't know, because it so many instances where a black person's gotten killed, and I asked myself, at what point is enough going to be enough? Because it's just continuously happening,
Right.
and they haven't said we have policies in place that are going to protect black people legally. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris didn't even say that. So why y'all championing them for? Until they do that, until they say that, I'm neither here nor there.
Yeah. Never forget. Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
You ain't
I'm
black.
just throwing
And
I'm
then
just throwing that out there.
what's funny, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris didn't even like each other like a year and a half ago. You can you
Bro,
can
yeah.
you can look it up that they were openly criticizing each other. You see what I'm saying? But people don't know that. People think they're best friends. Like like she Kamala Harris, she appeared on a versus battle,
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I
like,
watched it. Yeah.
and I'm like, a versus battle. So then that just goes to show what she thinks about the demographic of black people, which is, oh, I'm just gonna show up on a versus battle, and then it's gonna make people think that I'm cool because I'm
Well,
showing up on a freaking versus battle.
let's be clear here. She's not black. She's Indian. That's what
It's
she said. So, I mean, look, I want to have a real talk about with the black community, because this is not about police brutality. This is just, let's get to the root of the problem. If you ever get a chance to watch Vice on YouTube, check out this video. It was called "Black Conservatives versus Black Liberals." It was a very interesting video, and one of the things, first of all, I want to put this out there: Republicans and Democrats, it's a social construct. Let's be honest here. Is
absolutely
used to divide people.
to divide people. Yeah, like,
That's all it is.
instead of people worrying about a better system overall and just being focused on being progressive for a progressive system that's just continuously getting better. People are focused on, oh, you're left, you're right, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican. It's not.
Yeah,
That's
but
divided states of America. We're not united by any means. They should change the name.
let me. So I watched this video, and this was it was a very telling interview video about these two groups of black people, and it was about 30 minutes. And one of the things I took on was the fact that a lot of black people, including myself, was raised to be Democrats. We always been taught that being a Republican included racism and white supremacy. And I'm
Yeah,
sure many people could attest to that.
yeah,
And
that's
so
true.
what happened was, the conservatives was talking about how as they got older, and a lot of them were still in their 20s, but as they got older, they started seeing some of the things happening. You have people like Barack Obama, who was supposed to be the first black president for the people and didn't do nothing. And that really opened up their eyes to maybe there's something good on the other side. Maybe let's try to open up our minds and see what's going on the other side. And one of the things I took away from that was every single one of them, including a gay black man who was on a panel, has said that once they came out as conservative slash Republican, the amount of hate they got was insane. Family members disowning them. The gay black man was called the F word, faggot. He was called a coon. So the black woman who's on the panel said people called her the white man's bed wench, and the white man's slave, and all this stuff. And that goes to show you the divide that we have in our hands in the black community. You see, whether you like Candace Owens or not, that is your prerogative. And I'm not here to sway people's opinions. I'm just here to open up your eyes, because people slander Candace Owens for stuff that she says for supporting Trump. And I talked to my roommate about this. When you ask people why they hate Trump or why they vote for Biden, they can't give an actual reason. They just say, oh, because he said this and he said that. And when you try to educate people on whether that's the truth or not, they call you racist. They call you a Trump supporter. They call you a coon, and the white man slave. And look, we have to do better. How can we change if we don't change? Like you said, you have a black man trying to do something good for the black community. And what's the first thing they did? They used their hate for Trump to call him out of his name. And then they get mad when no black celebrities ever speak out. Why should they speak out? Because you seen the abuse Ice Cube is getting? It's ridiculous. He's taking the time out of his day. He could be at home, memorizing lines for an upcoming movie. He's taking
Facts.
the time out of his day, sitting on millions. He's taking
Yep.
the time out of
You don't
his
have to
day
do
to come
anything.
out and help people. And the first thing
Y'all
I do is call
attacking,
him coon and the sellout.
y'all
So
attacking them. That just shows what happens when you go against the grain and how easily the media can just twist everything to make you look like something you're not. And I've noticed the difference, over the years. And really, this year, honestly, I just haven't seen it just get this bad, you know.
right,
And I don't say I feel bad for Ice Cube because, mind you, he seems strong-willed enough to be able to hold his own and still continue. He's doing that, on our behalf, and then yet, like I said, you as a black person, you're more than likely to get it, flack or hatred or whatever, disdain and scorn from your own
own people.
people. Because Dr. Umar Johnson, I like Dr. Umar Johnson. He went on Roland Martin's show, and this is a while ago, but I was just noticing how that whole panel of black people
Oh, yep, I know
all
what you're talking
trying to
about. I
tear
watched
this
it.
man down, and I was just sitting there like, be your own people. Like we don't have to agree, but you don't have to tear me down because I don't agree with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I just, man, because guys like him, Dr. Boyce Watkins, people don't like them, and I'm like, why? Because they go against the grain. They think outside the box. They don't go with what's spoon fed to them. Y'all don't like them? All right. Like it just can't be helped. There's no hope, honestly. Because, the only time that's ever gonna happen is when there's a collective consciousness. And then whenever that decides to happen, it's too late.
Yeah, man. Like I said before in a recent episode, man, this whole election is being rigged and instilling fear on people. Because let's be honest here. Whether you like Trump, you vote for Biden, doesn't matter. Let's be real honest here. Most of the time when media reports something, is always the 220,000 deaths from COVID, right? Or it's white supremacy. That's the only two things they talk about. Why? Why do you think that is? I'm not saying that 220,000 deaths is not important. Absolutely not. If that was one of my family members or friends or something like that, I would be upset too. But then you also have white supremacy. Proud Boys, which I've said before, has minority leaders and members. So can't be really white supremacy if it has black people and Latinos in the group. That's nonetheless. But this whole election is painted to, if you vote for Biden, we can get rid of all of that fear. But if you vote for Trump, he will continue that fear. You don't see them talking about policies. The only policy I've heard is Biden saying he's going to increase taxes on people who make more than
One hundred
$400,000 a
thousand
year.
dollars. Yeah.
But what people don't realize, and I try to educate people on Twitter, because Twitter has its own fan base. People say whatever they want on there. But what I try to educate people, what do you think will happen if your job or your employer got tax increased on their business? What do you think is going to happen? You think you're going to just be rolling in work all day without a care in the world and they're going to just worry about it? No. Who do you think is going to have to pay and help them pay for that tax? Us, you. How do you think these organizations work? You think they're going to get tax increase and they're going to keep hiring more people and paying you more money? I
Yeah.
don't think so. You're going to be the one to take up the cost. So I just want people to, regardless of what political party, stop the divide, stop the hatred for one another, beating up
Stop
Trump
that.
supporters, beating up Democrats, Antifa, shooting people and hitting people and Proud Boys hurting people. We have to stop this divide. Democrats and Republicans are two parties that always instill divide. Democrats has always been for black people, and Republicans have always been painted for racism. But it's not that black and white, people. It's not that black and white. And
Right.
until the people really just take the time, take a step back, take the curtain out of your face for a second, and open your eyes and see what's going on here. It's not that cut and dry. You know, people say, "Oh, Obama was the greatest president in the world." Why? Why was he great? Because he was a black man? Is that
Facts.
like? Don't get me wrong. I support the man. He was black. Yeah, yeah. We got an achievement. But what did he do for the people? Nothing. He gave LGBTQ community rights, and I said this in the Bill Burr thing. You know, LGBT community, and I'm not against them, but they do get more privileges than black people. Then you have a president. Again, I'm not a Trump supporter because I know people might say I am, but I'm just here to give the facts. That's it. Trump lowered black unemployment rate, increased black employment rate, and he also decreased the national deficit. This is stuff that's important that the people should know about. He also got a lot of black people voting for him in the 2016 election. And what do the media do? They don't report you on that. They tell people that the black people voting for Trump are just as bad as white supremacists. They're a sellout to the white man, and that the black people who voted for him are wrong. Trump is the devil, and the only way to get out of the issue is to vote for the Democrats and Biden. And like I said
Yep.
before, this situation is not going to change. I don't care if Obama's in president right now, if it was Joe Biden president right now, Kamala Harris president right now, we still would have got people. People still would have died from COVID. People still would be in the hospital right now. I don't see. First of all, they talk about they would have done something different, and I haven't talked about what they would have done different because I feel like their own argument is that Trump did a bad job. That's not a. I personally don't think he did a bad job. No, this clearly there's no vaccine going on, so obviously this pandemic is still going on.
And
But
we
what they
don't.
but what they don't tell you, and I'm here to educate the people because although I have a good sounding voice, I think people should know this. Governors,
We don't need no vaccine.
yeah, I
Or if there's a vaccine,
yeah, I don't know. I'm not. First of all, I'm not lining up to take the vaccine. That's just not happening. But
but this is what I'm saying. Where I feel like, all right, so all right, look at a guy like Trump who's downplaying it, right, and saying, he didn't get a vaccine when he tested positive for it. But then you got, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Mm, Put like this, I feel like they gonna mandate some shit and make it so that way you can't. I mean, like I said, that's a concern of mine that I've had for a while. That you won't even really be able to go to work. You won't be able to buy anything. You won't be able to do nothing until you got that certificate of vaccination ID.
right. Oh, hold on.
And
Before you finish that thought, let me just say something real quick about the Trump having COVID. I know people who don't think he had COVID, but let's be honest here, real quick. I just before I let you finish,
Mhm.
he's the president of the United States, right? Do you think they would just let this man roll over and die? So when people say, "Oh, how did he recover so fast?" Why is he getting access medical treatment? He is the leader of our country. If he dies, what do you think happens? We fall too. So I just want to say that because I've been hearing this whole Trump is he just say he had COVID to scare to put fear into people. Look, if he did or didn't have it, you can decide that for yourself. But he is the president of the United States, so of course he's going to get over the top treatment because he rules the country. But go ahead, finish.
No, man, there's just a lot of things that are going on that people have no idea about. And I think I was on Instagram. I was on Instagram last night, and I was saying that there's a collective of people who are actually trying to bring charges against, the government itself because, this whole coronavirus thing isn't what people make it out to be honest with you. And I wouldn't rule that out either. Because again, I said, I keep referencing my podcast, but I'm like, all right, Apple is a freaking multi-billion-dollar company, right? And you know that they do things, small things to make more money. So that, let's say they make iPhones super fragile, they make the chargers, decompose after a certain amount of time, right?
Yeah.
And you would consider that them taking advantage of people, right or wrong?
Right.
Because they could easily just make a sturdy iPhone where you drop it, it's not gonna break. But obviously, if I just take my phone right now and drop it a little bit, it's gonna get cracked. So if a multi-billion-dollar company does that blatantly to take advantage of its consumers, what do you think the government is doing?
Exactly.
The government does it a lot more covertly, and it's done in such a way where the average person, stupefied person at that, because people ask questions, so people are not going to realize what's going on right in front of their faces. Because again, the things that are going on, you don't see about it on the news. You don't see it on Fox. You don't see it on CNN, ABC, BBC. None of these things. So this is what I'm saying, and you know they don't care about citizens. So we're talking about Black Lives Matter. They don't care about the citizens. Period. Unless you
They
got
don't.
money. Unless you got money. Blacks got a little bit worse because not only do we have to deal with the institution, but we also have to deal with each other
Yeah.
because there is no collective black unity. That's a fallacy, and that's just an empty dream. Because the last time I saw people come together, it was for Black Panther, and that was only for a few weeks. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? There was only Black Pride for a fictional movie, and that was for a country that doesn't exist. We don't even have that for ourselves in real life. Needless to say about anything else. So,
Right.
whole country, the government, its citizens, its policies, its laws, the way people are elected, it's a joke, and
Yeah, man.
it's not for our benefit. And people need to really, a lie is a lot easier to find, and it's a lot more accessible than the truth. The truth, you're gonna have to take a little bit more time to actually find it.
Right.
People don't want to do that, because a lie runs sprints, truth runs marathons. Because truth gonna come out eventually. Take the extra 15 minutes, 20 minutes just to look up information, watch a
Right.
documentary,
Right.
do something. But don't just operate based off of what you see on the Shade Room or Baller Alert or on World Star, on channel, Fox, CNN, NBC, all this other types of stuff. Just information is so much more powerful than a vote. Get
Right.
informed.
I said like Lord Jamar once said on DJ Vlad show. He said, "Do not trust everything that the government give to you because you can't even trust the government." And one final thing I want to end on: Hassan Campbell is a YouTuber who talks about these kind of issues. And one thing he talked about, and he had a guest on the show, and he was talking about police brutality and but the problems within the black community. And the guest that was on his video was talking about how black on black crime is just a fallacy made up and stuff like that. And he said, "Okay, I understand that, but here's the problem we're having. You have a black man. There was a video that came out 2 weeks ago. There was a black man and his family. It was a black man, his wife, and daughter in the elevator. Two black men rolled up on him in the elevator, put a gun to him and his child's face, and robbed him. They robbed that man, his wife, and then stole the little girl's phone out of her pocket. This is stuff that we're doing to each other. How can you expect the FBI, police to treat you any different when you do it to each other? You know what I'm saying? FBI just sitting back laughing. Look at these fools. I'm joking, but I'm sure I'm serious about that. They're looking at people, protesting and destroying all these buildings and stuff like that, and people say yes, they're making a political statement. But are they really? Are they? When you have black families and these communities that can't get food for their children, people's grandparents can't get the asthma medicine because people decided to loot and steal all the pharmaceutical medicine, go on eBay and online and sell it for double the price, triple the price. You got people in these communities who getting their house broken into, people getting their stuff stolen, people destroying people's cars. And you talking about Black Lives Matter? What about the 40 kids that disappeared over the weekend this summer? What about these little kids getting shot up in an apartment? There was just another video where a 4-year-old was shot in her own apartment. Someone just bust down the door and shot this 4-year old girl. Again, how can we preach about police brutality? Which I'm saying is, I'm not saying it's not an issue, but how can we fix it? And we still got problems in our own community where your own people are afraid to walk by you because they feel like you're going to rob them and
Yep.
you're the same color as them. But we're not willing to talk about it. If I'm light skinned, I'm better than you. And if you're dark skinned, you're worse than me. And that's the issue we're having in our community. And I'll leave it at that.
By design. Is by that all everything that you just mentioned from top to bottom, everything we talked about is not by coincidence. Everything is happening is by design.
Yeah.
People don't understand that. And then, to piggyback off of what I said earlier, it's actually called the Corona Class Action International Lawsuit. So for anybody that wants to actually look that up, it's an actual thing. But you're not gonna hear about that on the news.
Nah. And
And check out Young Pharaoh. So if you actually want to know where I get a lot of my information from, check out Young Pharaoh on YouTube and Instagram.
oh, did you see he called Megan Thee Stallion on I think, well, I don't know, you didn't tag me in that, but did
Because
you
it's
see?
true. Because
Yeah.
everything is true. Like, come on, man. Megan Thee Stallion is just a distraction. She's just the latest version of that. That's her job. Is to
Yeah.
distract, to keep people in a stupefied state.
Yeah.
People are not gonna, when there's constantly something to distract them, they're not gonna worry about what's actually happening. People say it all the time. Like, the reason why there's like the Grammys or Tory Lane shot Megan Thee Stallion is because something else was happening. Something else was happening.
Right. Yeah.
That was the news, and people were, hundreds of thousands of people were signing petitions to get Tory Lanez deported. And I'm like, I wonder what's really happening right now
Yeah.
for that to like be like the trending topic. And I'm like, she's all right. Megan Thee Stallion's rich. She got M's in the bank. But everybody's so concerned about her. She's
Right.
okay. She's not thinking you get shot. You think she's gonna? You think she's gonna care about you?
Which is why I don't care. Exactly.
She's not gonna care. Like, these people don't even know that you exist until you exist to them, obviously. So I said, I'm like, in this life, it's either you accumulate revenue and you're rich,
Or
or good luck, because
absolutely.
obviously the system again is not for the average man. It's not for the average man. And then, I mean, if it is, that's because the average man is satisfied with that average life or below average life. Because some of the lives that these, like I said, celebrities, not even celebrities, the elites, whoever these people are, come on, man. This world and what's going on is a lot bigger than what they're showing you on television. It's like literally the Matrix. Like, everybody's just plugged in, and you are just that battery that perpetuates the system.
Right.
So that's what that movie's about. Everybody in that Matrix was just a battery. You were just a battery to keep everything going. So you go to work, you buy things, you pay taxes, you get gas. You're just a battery to perpetuate the system until you die.
Right.
No more, and probably a lot less. That's it.
That's it, man. I think we hit on the head, and I just want to leave this final note. I feel like I'm not here to change votes. I'm not here to change people's political affiliations or what they feel about Trump or Biden. I'm not here for that. I think I was put on this earth to just let people know, to open their eyes to this stuff, because the media ain't going to let you open up your eyes. Twitter and Facebook definitely ain't letting you open up your eyes. These are websites that can control what you put on there. So, and as long as you go along with the agenda, you're all right. You're cool. You're on the train with them. But the moment you turn against them, that's when you will be like Ice Cube, getting attacked. People want your head on a stake, and you get treated poorly. And I just want people, when you vote, or when you just actually scratch that, even without voting, it's time to also pay attention to your councilmen, your governors, your mayors, your assemblymen, because these are the people that can change your society. The president, like you said, is just a face thrown up on the poster. But your councilmen and all these people, these are the ones you also have to look at, because a lot of these people have been serving on the board for 30 plus years. These are old 80 something year old men who could cough tomorrow and die. These are the people that you put your trust into. They make millions of dollars a year. They got millions of dollars in retirement savings. And when it's all said and done, they'll be chilling on Cancun, drinking a pina colada, and you'll still be on unemployment. And that's the issue we're having. So definitely just pay attention. Be aware of what's going on. Open your eyes. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. Choose the best candidate. Don't just look at your party and say they're the best choice. Look at every political candidate you can find and making a judgment on that. Because I've seen great candidates from the president to assemblymen that came out and were amazing for the economy, but people weren't given the same attention because, like you said, the government ultimately decides what they want to do. Trump wasn't supposed to win, like I said, in 2016. And
Yeah.
look what happened. They put that bastard up in there. And now they're trying to get him out of there. And that shows to you that the government has control. How do you feel about this time? Do you think, um, with the whole COVID thing and the whole Black Lives Matter thing, do you feel like it's a government conspiracy?
Possibly. I'm not gonna rule out anything because we live in a crazy world. You know what I'm saying? People people believe in a God, but then they wouldn't believe that there's an opposite to that, or that the government does things to obviously take advantage of people. So I'm not gonna rule that out. What I am gonna say is that this isn't the United States of America. This is the divided states of America. And the only thing united about this country is like the united commitment to division, because and the way that we treat each other in a trash way. So
Mhm.
I mean, people need to get their mind right or their heads out of their asses, because the way that things are going right now, I don't really see things getting any better, to be honest with you.
It's only getting worse. And before I get into why I feel that way, because I have a lot of things that you're going to be shocked by. Um, the first I want to talk about, there was a video that went viral, especially on World Star. This black woman, she did a video of going to the pharmacy. It was a store. She didn't say the name of the store, but she went to the store to get medicine for her mother, and looters took all the drug medicine. They took all the food, all the toilet paper, all everything that's essential for the household. And she did a video about how she went to go get the prescriptions for her mother. There was nothing there. She went to get food for her kids. There was nothing there, and she was helping the employees clean up the parking lot. And a black man pulled out a gun on her and four other black women and threatened them, because he wanted to go pick up the rest of the stuff that the looters didn't take. Um, there's no media coverage about this. There was another instance today, or I believe it was last night, where Antifa, as we all know, attacked a black man
Not
who was walking. He was just walking. Wasn't instigating. He was walking with a white guy, and another black man in Antifa punched him in the mouth and knocked out his front teeth. No media coverage. Then a woman who was at a women's march yesterday, a white woman, but doesn't matter. She, still a woman. She was at I think it was a pro-choice march yesterday, and because she was there and she was a Trump supporter, she was beaten up and put in the hospital. Where's the media coverage at? I don't see what
It's
happened to
not
Black
convenient
Lives
for them to
Matter.
report
What
something like that. It's
what
not
happened to
part
Black
of the
Lives Matter?
it's not part of the the outline. It's not part of the agenda for them to. And I understand the media can't cover everything, but that's not something that's convenient for them to cover. So a lot of instances that are horrible, they tend to get swept under the rug. So I'm not
And
surprised by that.
that aside, I just want to put those out because I think that's something that is not being talked about, even though Black Lives Matter, they're not talking about it. Another thing that's going on is that Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, is being investigated, just like Hillary Clinton was, about email scandals going on. And a lot of people, including the House Representative Speaker, have been seeing their Twitter handles blocked and Facebook um, discouraging those posts, whether that's taking down the post or blocking people's profiles. This is the problem I'm having. It's not even. I'm. First of all, let me say this. I do think you are innocent to prove guilty. Contrary to what's going on now, where you're guilty to prove innocent. I'm not saying Hunter Biden is guilty, but what I'm saying is, I find it ironic that when the whole Trump and collusion with Russia was going on, they had no problem releasing his own personal stuff, his own bank accounts, and text messages and stuff like that. Same thing with Hillary Clinton. And now we having the same situation going on, and you have Twitter and Facebook banning people's social media accounts and prohibiting news outlets that want to cover this story from addressing it. And that was another thing I noticed too during the town hall meeting debates that Trump and Biden had separately. Um, Biden never got questioned about what was going on with his son. There was not one question. What do you think about this? Because obviously people say there's no media bias, but when you look at time and time again what they're doing, it clearly shows there is a media bias. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you just I think on Twitter right now it's been trending for maybe a couple of days. It's like a Biden Harris landslide 2020.
yeah,
You know, every single entertainer that you know are pro, you know, Biden and Harris. You know, a lot of people who are contrary are pro Trump are very few and far between if they're willing to publicly voice that because they're gonna obviously, you know, deal with some kind of backlash. But I mean, it's you gotta understand something, and I think I may have had this conversation with you, but maybe other people where back in 2012 they tried to do the same thing. Um, the Stop Online Piracy Act, which basically would legalize censorship, which is basically what they're doing right now. So when and mind you, Instagram and Facebook are pretty much the same thing. When you log in Instagram, it says Instagram from Facebook. So if you post something that they would deem as false information, they're allowed to either mark that as false information. So anybody who looks at it before they actually get a chance to look at it, they're being told that this is false information. That wasn't legal maybe 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago. That was something that was passed underneath our noses and we didn't hear about it. You know, back in 2012, you know, the Stop Online Piracy Act was like a big deal. You had celebrities, you know, against it. You had YouTubers against it. Everybody was against it. That caught steam. Whatever it is that they passed after that, and I forgot the name. I think they passed this in 2018. It was called something different. You didn't even hear about it. And a lot of those things were swept under the rug. People weren't talking about it. You know, a lot of your favorite celebrities, they weren't saying nothing.
mm-hmm.
So, you know, I mean, no one cares. I think I said the last podcast or one of the last ones we did is just that we live in a stupefied society now, which is the inability to think and feel properly. No one cares.
Yeah, man.
You know,
And
people's civil liberties are taken advantage of all the time, and yet nobody seems to care. People are just, you know, quick to take what's spoon fed to them and then just take it as that. You know, and people just go with the flow. No one wants to go against the grain.
like I said, there's a lot of things that was going on that people weren't aware of, and I didn't know about this stuff until I watched the video, which was like 3 hours long, but it was very entertaining to watch. Um, so the House Oversight Committee um, was holding the impeachment, and obviously they have witnesses that come in and get questioned, whether it's subpoenaed or voluntary. Um, and Rep. Trey Gowdy, who's very known for grilling witnesses, was talking to Professor Jonathan Gruber, an Obama healthcare advisor, talking about the Obamacare Act. Now listen to what this man said. Throughout the whole time he was being interviewed by different government agencies, he says stuff like the proposed bill was passed because American people are too stupid to understand the difference. Americans don't care about the insured, and only he does. And Americans lack the very basic exploitation of the lack of economic understanding. And American voters are stupid. Um, and then his whole defense after all of this, which was funny because every time Mr. Gowdy asked him why would he say something like that, he said, and I quote, "I'm just using inappropriate language to express and to impress my colleagues on political advantages I have no knowledge about." And then when one of the congressmen on the panel asked him, "Did anybody ever tell him he was wrong to say that?" He said no. So basically, that proves that many people in Congress think American people are stupid. And how do you
They
feel
are.
about that?
This is true. Second podcast that I did, which I kind of really broke down. I don't want to say conspiracy theories, but what I believe, an idea of what the rabbit hole looks like as far as what's really going on. And people are dumb. And I'll quote myself: people are dumb, deaf, and blind. No one, because it's just no one cares. People. This is the matrix. We're living in a matrix, and some people they don't want to deal with. I'm really quoting myself verbatim from the podcast, but people don't want to deal with the harsh realities
Right.
that things aren't what you think it is. What it look like ain't always what it is. If you remember the Matrix, the guy that portrayed like the good guys in the movie, how he was tired of eating gruel and mush and all that other types of stuff, and he was like, "Put me back in the Matrix and just make me an actor because I don't want to know what's out there. I don't even want to know. Just
Right.
completely ignorance is bliss." That's what he
Right.
said. It's true. People don't care. That's the general consensus of Americans in this country. And then when you try to, put them on game with maybe something that they haven't heard of, something that might sound crazy or what can be perceived as a conspiracy theory, people are like, "Oh, what I'm saying," and then they just pin you as a conspiracy theorist or whatever. I seen on I think it was Instagram, people were talking about QAnon, and basically that's just the a theory that Trump is part of like an anti-satanic freaking organization, and then he's trying to basically the fact that he became president was like I don't say a stroke of miracle, but that was like a coup to take the country back.
Right.
Like all 43 presidents are related. People don't know that.
Yeah.
You try to tell them that, like they look at you like you got 10 eyes. So that's why there's really no hope. Like I just because I'm just one guy. Like there's no hope, and people who think like me are few and far between. People say power to the people. No, the people don't have power. We don't until we were all come together and have this like elevate our consciousness and care about one another and care for our well-being and realize that the system is failing. We're at the mercy of a government that already thinks that we're stupid, and they know for a fact that we're stupid because we show it every day.
Right.
Because we're so caught up with entertainers and sports and all this other crap that we can give it. Like they could just say tomorrow, I don't know. Like first of all, already you have to wear masks. It's mandated to wear masks. People don't care. Okay,
No.
the government can say, "Oh, you have to do this," and it could be something crazy, whatever. People just go with it. They
Right.
just go. You just go with it. You're not allowed to do this anymore. Like I can't think of anything outrageous at the moment, but you get what I'm saying. Like it's just
Yeah,
the
man.
there is no consciousness, and because we don't care about each other, we only care about ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
and then when things really get that bad, and the noose around people gets too tight for people to breathe, so to speak, it's too late. It's gonna be too late because the fact that you can't even post something on Instagram without some independent fact checker saying that it's false information, that doesn't bother anybody. That's it. But no one
Yeah,
cares.
yeah.
No one cares. People have, like I said, their job. They got their 9 to 5. They got their kids. They got their immediate family. They got their friends. They got entertainment. That is it. No one asks questions. No one cares because it doesn't infringe on their lives in any way. It doesn't impact them negatively. So why should they care?
And you're right, and you made a good point. And I've said this before. I don't get into politics. I never did get into politics. But the only reason why I started getting into it is because, especially during this time when there's a lack of government aid for people who need it, a lot of bias going on in the media, a lot of negative things happening in this country. A lot of these issues that we have can be fixed. It can be. But when you have a corrupt Congress, that becomes the issue. And I'm not done yet. I'm not even close. I got a couple more things I want to talk about Congress. So I'm gonna get into this. So Rep Trey Gowdy, who is the chairman of the committee, he interviewed Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz. Now, he was overseeing the Trump impeachment trial. And he was responsible to oversee all the evidence and stuff like that. And what came out throughout this, and again, this is stuff that wasn't released to the media unless you to the public, unless you watched it. So, five FBI agents, including FBI Deputy Assistant Director Peter Stroznik, if I'm saying his last name right, and his girlfriend, FBI lawyer Lisa Page, exchanged texts while they were ahead of the case for the Trump impeachment trial. They were exchanging texts to conspire and end Trump's campaign and to get Hillary in office. He said to his girlfriend that Trump is a screw up. He can't let him win. We'll make sure he will not let him win. And he said he has unfinished business with Trump. And I only bring that up because people might say, okay, he's entitled to opinion. That's fine. I give you that. But when you're overseeing two cases and you showed this bias, and he wasn't acquitted for any of this, they said it was his prerogative to say that. But when you're ahead of something this big, this dynamic, and you're saying stuff like this and you're getting away with it, it makes me question if they're doing this to the president of the United States, to the president, what do you think they would do to us? Because throughout this whole investigation, they also uncovered that people were using Obamacare to spy on people. I mean, look, I'm not here for conspiracy theories, but I mean, this goes to show, man, like you can't be the government can't be trusted. They're spying on people. They were spying on people in Trump's campaign. They were spying on private citizens. And again, this is stuff that the media never put out to the public.
They're
You
not
have to
going
go out of your way to read and watch these videos to get this information. But
right.
this is stuff going on that people don't know about. They
You
talk
don't care.
about, oh, we're here for the American people, but you have people calling American people stupid and call them uneducated. FBI being corrupt as all can be. And let me say something else too. Before I say the next point, how do you feel about that? People spying on us, spying on the president. Um, how do you feel about that?
It's a harsh reality of this world because human history is basically humans taking advantage of power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. You ever seen Enemy of the State with
Mm-hmm.
Will Smith?
Yeah.
Boom. There you go. They don't make movies like that for no reason. And that movie was about, mass surveillance and basically how you have a webcam, somebody will be watching you with the webcam. You got cameras everywhere. Now, this is a harsh reality.
Yeah.
Some people don't care. And then even then it's like where I get not pessimistic, but it's just a realist, attitude to have is, well, what can you do anyway? You know, we're not in a
Yeah.
situation where we could really do anything about it. So you're
Yeah.
just forced to accept it. Because
And I'm
even if, like I said, even if you start a whole campaign of anti-surveillance and anti-Big Brother, blah 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 blah, it's not going to amount to anything because you need numbers. And like I said in my podcast, my second one, which is basically people are not going to care about what I'm saying unless I was an entertainer or I went to Manhattan and I could fly, have all these superpowers and things, and people had no choice but to pay attention to me, then people would care. But because people pin me as a regular guy, a regular dude, I don't have any money, I don't have any resources, I don't have a platform, they're gonna be like, who is he? What does he know? And then
Right.
even then, you have some celebrities that do step out and they do, you know, talk about these sorts of things, and then look at how they treat them,
Yeah.
or how the media just gets on that person, and then they just either throw them in jail, make them look crazy, something happens to them, then they gone. This is why you have most people who don't go against the grain because of, like I said, the ramifications of that. But you know, you're not going to get a poppin' celebrity that you'll know to start talking about surveillance and Big Brother and all these different things because they're not supposed to.
There was another thing that came up during this trial of Trump's. Um, a bunch of DA agents were caught soliciting prostitutes from drug cartels that they were investigating, and the DA, which stands for Drug Enforcement Agency for people who don't know, the administrator for the company, Michelle Leonhardt, was not given proper authority to find them. So hence she couldn't do anything. They can, do everything that they wanted with these girls with the drug cartels, and she couldn't find them. But you know what she could find them for? She could fire them for sexual harassment in the workplace. What kind of nonsense is that? Like, first of all, I'm not saying rape and sexual harassment is fine, but you have DA agents soliciting girls with the drug cartels they're supposed to be putting behind bars. They can't get arrested for that, but they can get arrested if they touch a female coworker inappropriately. What kind of nonsense is that? That goes to show to you that this whole thing is a scam. For instance, another thing, Kamala Harris went on Breakfast Club, and when Charlamagne the God asked her if she smokes weed, she laughed it off and said her parents were Jamaican. Ha ha ha, real funny. But she was also in charge of putting 1,500 minorities in prison for minor drug offenses, which includes possession of weed.
But people love her, right?
Yo, I'm not no angel sent from God. I'm not here. I'm not Jesus. I'm not Malcolm X. I'm just here to talk about stuff that people aren't willing to talk about. These are
Facts.
stuff that people don't know about.
Yep.
This is stuff that people don't know about. Yo, this government is a mess. You can't trust anybody. If they're
No.
doing this to the highest ranking officials, imagine what they'll do to people like George Floyd, to me and you, to the people that live in the projects.
Yeah,
Look,
man. Yeah, man. I just, it's all of that is just so frustrating because again, people would just sit there and listen to you and be like, "Oh well, I still don't like Trump anyway," and then just and like I've been saying, this whole country is not working, and it needs an overhaul that we're never gonna get because we're not in a position to demand anything because we have no power whatsoever.
right.
It's just, and then you go on Tinder, and then Tinder says just telling you to vote, not realizing that we don't. It's not the popular vote. Like I can understand if it the popular vote determined that, but it doesn't. We're just telling them who we think should be president. Our votes don't actually matter,
I agree.
but they'll have you believe that. Like if they're just like, here, take a like it's like take a lollipop, like we're kids. Oh, just yeah, you go ahead and vote, but the shit really don't matter.
Right.
We're just under the impression, the illusion of being involved in the political process, which we aren't. Because like I said, if that was the case, then whoever won the popular vote back in 2016 would have won, which was Hillary Clinton, but she lost. So this is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. It's just,
It's all a scam, man. It's all a scam.
but people will really have you think that, oh, if you Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is going to save everybody.
They're not.
That
How many
all
times
of a
have we
sudden when
seen?
they become president, everything is going to be better.
Yeah.
Foolishness, man.
I mean, look,
And it's not, and to me, it's like people will hear that and think, oh well, he likes Trump. It's not that. It's just the fact that it's like Ice Cube. I'm not neither here nor there. I'm about a better system in general. So whoever is quote unquote the face of that, which the president doesn't dictate what goes on in this country. Anybody who thinks the president is actually in charge is a dumbass. The president is just the face of the shit.
yep.
The president's not actually who's in charge, not the fucking vice president who's in fucking charge. You stupid motherfuckers. They're not in charge. They're not in charge. The president's just the face. This is just who you looking at. This country is controlled by people that you don't even know. You don't know their names. You don't know their faces. You don't know shit about them.
Yep. But they get
But yeah,
paid
but
five
yeah,
hundred thousand dollars a year.
exactly. But you put everything on Trump. You're an idiot if you think that he's actually who's in charge of this whole country, this whole shit. It's oh my god, like it's a whole conundrum that people are blissfully unaware of.
Right. And like I said, that dude that called American people stupid and uneducated
He was right.
and they lack basic economic understanding
He
of
was
the
right.
country.
He was right.
That goes to show how many people in Congress really feel that way. Because if none of his superiors or none of his coworkers tell him that was wrong and offensive, then you can only imagine what they're saying too. So,
That's a fact. Because
no,
these people, these politicians, they're not regular people. They're not like you and me. Just like how law enforcement, they're not regular people like you and me. They're like a separate entity. That's why you would have a black police officer probably shoot a black citizen and not bat an eye because he doesn't see himself as a regular human being. He sees himself as blue, if you get what I mean.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, look at these quote unquote disagreements about a stimulus check. These are determined by people who are wealthy, got 6 or 7 figures in the bank,
Yep.
right? 8 or 9. Like I said, they're not regular people. One of my favorite movies, Deep Cover with Lawrence Fishburne and Jeff Goldblum. At the end of the movie, they're cutting a $100 million deal with a politician who's actually corrupt and he's into drugs and everything. And then he says to them, he's like, oh, you Americans want to just take advantage of us poor Hispanic people. And he's like, Jeff Goldblum says, you and I both know that there's no such thing as black people, Hispanic people. None of that matters. It's rich people and poor people. That's it. And like I've been saying in a lot of my podcasts, things that we do together, it's either you got money in this world or you don't. Get rich or good luck.
And with that, the tall glass of water has been drunk, and I'm done rambling. How about you?
Hey man, I'm just incredibly discouraged and disheartened, honestly, because as much of a misanthrope I am, I do care about humanity on a decent enough level to be affected by that. And when you feel like powerlessness is never a good feeling. So I mean, it is what it is.
Absolutely, man. And like I always say when I always end it, if you have a different opinion, if you want to talk and have a honest conversation, you could send a voice message or through anchor.com/the Prince of Fresh Air or reach out to me on Instagram at Mr. No Days Off Percy with a dot. Um, and let me know, because I gotta call Chris Hemsworth, so I gotta finish up. But we have to have these conversations. We can't just shut each other down because someone agrees with us and lobby insults. America is the greatest country in this world. I don't plan on leaving. I don't plan on fleeing like some of these other celebrities claim to do every election year. I'm here to change. Here to change. I'm here to stay. But I'm here to change how we operate, and I hope you do too. And everybody know this charismatic voice. And like I always say, a helping hand is a better hand.